It's Owen. I'm sitting here at Makapu Beach, maybe my favorite beach in the entire world here in Hawaii. And what we're gonna do right now is go into a video that is gonna explain the difference between coping and thriving. And for me, this is one of the most important topics as far as social skills, dating, meeting new people that you could ever cover. Now, if you want to think about this as far as your state of consciousness, again, think of contracted like small and expansive as big. One is in defense, the other is in growth. So imagine that you just get punched in the face, right? And you get knocked unconscious. Well, what's happening now? You go unconscious and your body is just trying to repair itself. It's in defense. Imagine you get sick. You don't want to go running around, right? You're kind of just lying around feeling in pain. You're in defense, you're in coping. Versus imagine what you're capable of when you're feeling great and moving around. You can go climb mountains. You can go bodyboard down to that beach down there. You're in thriving. Life is completely different. Well, in the physical world, as far as physical activity, it's very, very obvious when you're in this kind of wounded recovery state where you're coping, just hoping to survive another day, versus, say, running around and doing crazy stuff and thriving physically. But in mental terms, it can be a little bit harder to identify. Now, the example that I always like to give as far as when I've been coping is I'll be very underslept and I'll get into an Uber. And as I get in the Uber driver will say to me, "Hey, how are you doing?" And I won't feel any energy that I have to give. And I'll just go, "I'm good." And I'm in this kind of close-ended conversation. And generally, as I go, "I'm good," a few seconds later, I'll realize, why didn't I say, "How are you doing?" So it's funny just to think about that. Even that basic level expression, "Hi, my name's Owen, how are you?" That "how are you" is actually a sub-communication, a hidden communication that, at least by a way of looking at it, I think there's many ways we could look at it, but by a way of looking at it is showing that you're thriving. When you care for others, when you give a crap to feel what other people are feeling, that's showing that you're in thriving. So again, with that Uber example, I'd like you to track yourself. What is that moment where when someone says, "How are you doing?" you don't really have a lot of energy to give and you kind of shut down? For me, it's when I'm underslept, when I'm hungry, or when things aren't going well, when there's chaos in my life, or I feel offended somehow and I'm freaking out. Not so much in my life now, but when I was younger, for sure. So conversely, how about when I'm thriving and I get in that Uber? Well, at that point, he says, "How are you doing?" or she says, "How are you doing?" And I'll say, "Oh, I'm doing amazing. How are you?" And then I start joking with them. Maybe I'm singing a song with them in the Uber. I'm doing some funny imitation with some crazy voice that I'm doing. I'm sharing adventures, and I'm just having fun. Now, why would I just do that with the Uber driver? Now, if you're in coping, you'd think, why would you do that? It's an Uber driver. You're paying them to get from point A to point B. I get it. I've been there. I could have watched this video 20 years ago, and I would have thought that giving me advice on how to talk to a ride-sharing service or a Uber driver, would just be the most ridiculous thing in the world. Why would I even care to hear about this? How's it going to get me what I want? I watched this video to get what I want. I need something. I need to get a date. I need to make friends. I need to network. Why are you telling me how to network with the most low-value person ever? An Uber driver. I'm learning this to meet someone attractive. I get it. That's exactly what I would have thought. But ironically, that exact same thing that says, I don't want to engage with a regular person for the joy of it, that same component is what makes you come across weird with somebody who you're attracted to or somebody who you want to date. It's actually a hidden issue that's going on with you because essentially you're in coping and the person that you're attracted to, they can feel it. Now, how does this manifest? Well, really, if you want to track this, think about any time that you don't have what you need. Maybe you're hungry. How much of a conversation can you have? Or how much bandwidth do you have to think about things when you're hungry? Think about when you're sick. Think about when you're just not getting what you need financially. You're in a state of panic. Maybe your business isn't doing well. Just think of any example like that and start tracking your thought process. Now, the big thing to notice here is that because your bandwidth, your mental capital, and emotional bandwidth, emotional capital, is basically used up by these issues going on, whether sick or late or tired or hungry, you don't have the ability to be aware of how other people feel, and you don't really have a lot to give to them, okay? So again, coping, thriving, you're in coping here. It's amazing though that when you're in thriving, when you're well-fed, well-rested, got lots of money, got lots of friends, you don't really need anything. So you're kind of just sitting there like, what do I want to do with my day? Oh, there's a cool Uber driver. What's up, Mr. Uber driver? What's up, Miss Uber driver? You're having fun with them, you're joking around. It's natural that you want to give. It's essentially, as they'd say in the Bible, the cup runneth over. Such abundance that energy is just flowing out of you. What is the ultimate example of that? The sun. People love the sun. Plants love the sun. Life loves the sun. Why is that? Because the sun is the giver of energy. The sun needs nothing, and yet everything wants to be near the sun, up to a point. A ginger, get a sunburn, but you get the general idea. So what you have once you make this shift is a situation where everything just gets easier because as you're thriving, you have more to give, but ironically, you get more back. You're giving that energy so easily, and because of that, everybody feels that you're radiant and wants a little piece of you. So if you're out meeting people in a bar, say you want to get a date from somebody who you're attracted to at the bar, that's the easiest thing to do in the world because you're radiating energy. But ironically, that same thing where you don't have that date and you want a date and you're lonely, that loneliness is actually what puts you in coping, shuts down your mental capacities, and makes you push people away. So you've got to become aware of this, and really you've got to break the cycle. Now, what are some of the advantages to getting this down? The big one, like I said, is vibrance. You emanate energy, but beyond that, what also happens is that you can read social cues a lot better. You can look at someone in the eye and you can see what they need. You can feel when you're conversing in a way they're not enjoying. Maybe your physical presence isn't to their liking. And you can sense this and you can quickly adapt. Maybe somebody looks slightly uncomfortable and you sense it and you maybe just move back a few inches and crack a little funny joke or even acknowledge how they're feeling, and they immediately loosen up and they go, oh, you're hilarious. No, I love you. And it's like the best thing in the world. It's amazing when you can do that. We call that social calibration. Maybe you're doing public speaking, and because you have all that extra mental capital, you can feel your audience. You can see that one audience member in the room who's maybe not getting it. You can point them out. If you're stuck in your head just trying to get through your content, you're not going to be able to deal with that. Maybe you're sitting on top of some weird windy mountain having $40,000 worth of camera gear getting rained on, and you can quickly assess how to finish the video before it gets destroyed. Last time we lost $50,000 to $80,000 in camera gear. I didn't finish soon enough, but this time we're gonna finish. So you get the main idea, and you also get my commitment to videos and the vision. But basically what you have is a situation where A, you're vibrant, but B, you can feel what people need. Now, how about the next advantage? When you're in thriving, you're also very improvisational. It is so easy to improvise, come up with cool things to say. It's beautiful. It's way too much fun when you're sitting there in thriving. So all those issues that you're having of I don't know what to say, that's because your mental capital is tied up in basically coping through the day, and you can't be improvisational. So when you see me doing my improvised seminars and you're wondering, how is he doing this? You have to understand, I've made a deliberate, proactive, and meticulous effort to curate my consciousness and get into a thriving state, so that way, when I'm going out into a seminar room, I can just come up with stuff so easily. When I'm going out meeting people, you're saying, how does he always know what to say to flirt? How does he always know what to say to connect, to make friends? It's because I've gone to the effort to curate my consciousness to where I'm thriving. What are the things that you want to do that? Simply, essentially the scarcity, the coping is a knot. It's like you're a black hole, and you've got to begin to shift the energy outwards. So rather than thinking, how do I get what I want? I'm the Gollum needing the precious. What you do instead is you say, I have everything I need. And in any social situation, I only ask, and here's the key. In any social situation, I only ask myself one thing. How do I add value to this situation? I want to provide emotions. I want to feel into the situation and just get that sense intuitively of what it needs. I want to be that person where whatever's happening, whatever chaos is emerging around me, I can feel into that situation emotionally. I'm energetically attuned to what a person may need, perhaps for flirting or dating. maybe for what they need for networking, what kinds of things I need to say, what kinds of body language they'd appreciate, what kind of sort of mood or energy in myself that they would want to feel. I need to sense how much of a dose of my personality they want, maybe where they'd want to go, and what would be value to them. You can sense that. You're coming from a frame of, I need nothing, I have everything, and the energy is moving out. So you want to feel that you're tapped into your higher source, tapped into that higher energy, to being present to the moment, and it's emanating out. You feel joy, and you want to share it. Now, if you don't really resonate with this, and you're thinking, why would I want that? Like I said, it makes people love you. But even going deeper, if you don't resonate with it on a level that you've just never felt it, I would challenge that. Even the darkest person, because I've had many friends over the years, very dark, and I've been very dark, I've seen moments where they start laughing and dancing, and they want to share. Go into any nightclub environment, and you'll see people, even drunk, but it's still somewhat counsel, they're doing it in a cheap way, where they're kind of just going with it, and they're just kind of shooting out energy. They don't want anything from you. They want to share it with you. They want to put a smile on your face. Likewise, have you ever been really angry, and you just wanted to make your friend mad, or your significant other mad, or your coworker mad, or somebody on the street mad because you're mad and you want to spread negative energy? Well, here's what's funny. Low vibration negative energy, it wants to spread. There's an energy in you that when it happens to you, it wants to spread. That's why, in part, this is an oversimplification, when you see people do some horribly disgusting thing like go harm a bunch of people, it's because that, in part, oversimplified, it's because that negative energy is in them and it desires to spread. It wants to harm everyone and even themselves. Conversely, when you're in a positive energy, well, it also wants to spread, but you want to spread positivity. So the problem with this is that when you're always in a taker mode, inevitably that nasty, dark, evil energy, that black goop, it gets to the point of taking that you become demented. And you'll see even some very reasonable people actually go into that kind of Gollum mode from Lord of the Rings. They become demented. There's a dementedness that you'll see when people go too far down that path. Very sad, actually. I really could talk for hours about this. There's a change in the pupils and the eyes and their demeanor, and it's very sad. And unfortunately, that energy's running them, and they keep feeding it, and they think that anything other than that is stupid, and they're going to get theirs, and there's really not a lot you can show them. They don't realize that they're a slave to taking. They don't know what true happiness is. It's just unfortunate. And we can all go there, right? I'm sure I've been there, at times, even at any point. So we've got to shift our way out of it. That's what great friends are for, too, or maybe even a video like this. So from there, what we do is, rather than always taking, we say, I'm going to deliberately go into abundance. No matter how bad this is, I've got to break the cycle. I've got to break this cycle of being a taker. In places like churches or religious institutions, they'll say, I want you to give 10% of your income to the church. Now, you could argue that that's because they're trying to fund themselves. And you'd have a pretty good argument. Probably not wrong at all. Or maybe a bit, but it's a good argument. But conversely, you also have it to where what they're trying to do is get you to go into abundance, not to hold on so tight, not to clasp so tight and need. Again, it creates that demented, creepy vibe that shoots everybody away from you. So instead, what you do is you loosen up a little bit and you give. And what's funny is that lets a little bit of sunlight into you, lets in a little bit of light. Sometimes if you've really done some nasty things in your life, you're carrying a lot of dark energy, the way to heal it is actually to go give to others. Me, the way that I grew up, very dark. Me helping other people has been my healing journey. Anytime that I'm feeling really terrible about my business or anything going on, you ever see me having trouble, maybe you'll see it publicly, what I do is just to break out of that dense energy, I just go give. I'll run out to the local club and I'll see someone there who maybe follows my stuff, and I'll do like a half-hour free session with them just to help them. And it really clears up a lot for me. It's unbelievable, right? I'm not going, you got to pay me for this, because I'm not doing it for them at this point. I mean, I am doing it for them, but I'm getting something out of it. It's bringing the sun ray back in. It's bringing back in the light. And I need that at that moment. And I'm sure you do too. So I've even had it where during, say, a recession, when things are not going well for me, I will always pay the tab at dinner. I always will pay the tab at dinner when I'm not doing well, or even buy little gifts for my friends. Like, I'll just show up with little small gifts, thoughtful gifts, whatever I could afford. I do that because in giving, I can actually turn the tide of that weird black hole and kind of start moving the energy out a bit. And what begins to happen when you go into a giving space is it frees up mental bandwidth so that you can find a solution to your problems, right? When you're doing very badly, think when you're feeling horrible, you're not doing well. And all that you can think about is your problem. I need this to stop. I've been there. I've been in these dark moments. I'm very familiar with them. I just can't take it. I need it. I get that. So what you do instead is you've got to loosen up, because when you're in that dense thought form, the solutions are all around you and you can't find them. You're completely focused in on yourself. All the solutions are here, out here, they're anywhere, but you can't find the solution. Even if you had to go talk to somebody to ask for help, you're in such a dense negative mood that you'd push them away. There's people all around you that want to help you, they're running away. That's why when I see somebody in a very value taker mode in coping, I think, man, this coping person could find the solution, but they're so stuck in themselves that nobody will help them. Think of somebody who's homeless. They could maybe get a job, they're living in an affluent country, but they can't stop thinking about how they need $1, and they're looping on it, and they're stuck, entrenched in their own personal hell. Well, this personal hell that you can go into where you become demented to the point that you can go so far off the path, and here's what's scary, so far off the path that you may not find your way back. You may not find your way back to that better road because that energy takes over your mind and your conscious thought is gone. With rehabilitation, some people can find their way back. Some people, they're beyond being rehabilitated. The energy consumes them. It's something I've seen happen to friends, publicly and privately. One of the saddest things I've ever seen. Sickening. So I don't want that happening anymore, okay? It's really sad. So conversely, what you can get is where you're so radiant that people look at you as almost like quasi-enlightened or something like that. You're not enlightened. I mean, maybe you're enlightened. I don't know. What's up if you're enlightened? Let me know how it is. Post in the comments what enlightenment's like. But it can have that vibe to it. It can have sort of like this enlightenment type vibe. It's pretty amazing. And that enlightened vibe is beautiful. It's like the opposite of being demented. You have full access to all your thoughts. All the solutions to your problems are right there. You just naturally merge into your environment and find the solutions to your problems. You'll have that beautiful social calibration. You'll easily say the right things. And this is really a downward spiral or upward spiral, because in coping, you might need to smoke cigarettes. Why do you see people in low vibration energy in coping? They got to smoke cigarettes, smoke drugs, take hard drugs, drink, eat horrible food. They can be addicted on physical intimacy as a way to cope. They call that Sex and Love Addicts Anonymous. They'll help with that. And it's very fascinating, actually, to go into addiction-based communities. You can go into AA, sit in on it, or, Narcotics Anonymous or Sex and Love Addicts Anonymous, and see what that coping can result in, where the person is so barely able to cope. And because they use things to help them cope, their life gets worse. And because their life gets worse, they need to cope more. Look, imagine you took heroin, right? Makes you feel blissful. But then your life gets worse. Your brain's all messed up. Your thinking's all messed up. Your life's all messed up. Well, now you're even more addicted to heroin, because you can go for feeling blissful from the heroin, and then you go in this whenever you become sober again, your life's even worse. So now you're even more in coping, and then you do this crazy heroin, like that, right? And the person can literally, I mean, by a way of phrasing it or looking at it, basically lose their soul. Well, conversely, instead of having these bad coping habits when you're in thriving, maybe you eat beautiful foods. Maybe you want to meditate. Meditation for you, if you're in coping, is unbearable. Let me ask you a question. Do you find meditation to be unbearable? Well, that's probably because to an extent you're in a contracted consciousness and you're thinking, I need to get to the future. I can't even sit here for 20 minutes. I can't go do a bunch of approaches to work on my social skills, on my dating life. I need something now. And even if you see the solution, by the way, when you're in coping, you think that you're being tricked. If somebody watches this video, I promise you, if they're in coping, they'll think, I'm being tricked because that energy is consuming them. This can't work. What is victim consciousness? In effect, it's the ultimate coping. It's saying, it's not my fault, because if I were to acknowledge I could change this, it would hurt too much, because I'd feel like I'm at blame. If you're a victim, it's not that you're at blame. You can fix this. You can blame yourself, but just fix it anyway. Or just realize that you didn't know better before. You can fix this. You don't need to hide behind a shield of victimhood and thinking that people that are crushing it are all scammers and liars. Although even in me saying that, he's getting at me, I know. I guess so, right? Smart person, the super pessimist, coping. You should always be a bit pessimistic, but you know my point, right? It can go too far, and that's what I'm talking about. If you don't have a critical eye, that's equally dumb, okay? So basically, as you move up, now you're eating healthier food. You're meditating. You're doing things good for your body, for your soul. You're taking action. You have more energy to be more productive. You have more social awareness, so now you can go meet people. Your dating life, your intimate life is wild, kinky, crazy. Eventually you meet the right partner, it's loving and beautiful. And all that can happen as you go into thriving. And that's what I want for you. It's a beautiful experience. Ultimately, you've got to cultivate and curate your consciousness to the point that you can live with yourself. You can live in your own skin. You don't need to do things to medicate yourself or run away from problems or stuff problems. You can be at peace in your own skin. And as you're at peace in your own skin, now you can make decisions from a point of proactivity. You can make higher quality decisions. You can assess situations without the reactive energy, as opposed to being pulled everywhere. If your consciousness is suppressed, what's gonna happen when you go to approach someone you're attracted to and you're nervous? You're gonna overanalyze every little thing they say. You're gonna be nervous to approach. You're not gonna know what to say because you're gonna be shut down. You're not gonna feel how they feel, so you're gonna weird them out. And then when you leave, you're gonna have to say, oh, I never could have done this. I was led down a path of false hope to think I could meet someone and they're a jerk and it's not my fault. All your mental bandwidth is monopolized. Instead, you could be in joy. You could have a clear present mind because you can live with yourself. You don't need to be constantly hiding from yourself. You can live with yourself in stillness and in presence. And then as you do that, you have more energy to approach, to meet people. You can feel into the situation. You can offer value into the situation because you're coming from a place of vitality, but you can also feel into the situation and see what it needs. Give the right emotions to it and find a win-win where you move it forward. In doing so, your verbal skills, you're not gonna need some line that you read on the internet to be able to talk to someone. They're gonna be endless, no different than me doing this talk here, improvised with rain and wind and whatever. You're gonna be able to do the same thing. You'd be able to do YouTube videos just like this if you just shift your mind into thriving. They'd be in your own style, they'd be different, maybe take you a hot minute to get it totally down, but you see my point. You'd be able to do it. You'd be able to do improvisational socializing and dating with no problem as you expand. But again, from a contracted headspace, you need every little tip of, how do I read someone? I don't know how, because you don't have your awareness outside your head. It's a cool question to ask. I'll give answers. I've given them in many videos. I'll give more. You know, put your hand up, see if they high five back. Talk to them, see if they further the conversation. Look in their pupils. Things like that. You want a line? Say, hey, are you guys best friends? You have the same facial expression. There's a line for you. Everybody will crack up at that. That's cool. That'll hold you another 20 seconds. But what about the rest of your life? So you're not going to need that stuff as you go into thriving. In my opinion, and this is subjective, I can't prove this, I believe you don't get sick as much because your mind's not carrying all this inner turmoil. I haven't been sick in who knows how long, 2012, we know how long. But you know, you see the point. You can laugh, you can enjoy life. I see people whose consciousness is contracted. There's always a hunger, a need. Always them saying, I'm hot, I'm cold. I need this, I need that. What do they think of me? They're not being right to me. I need to right this injustice. And their mind is missing the bigger picture, the beautiful picture of life. And they think that by getting a little warmer, a little colder, or getting that thing they deserve, or getting the person to treat them how they want, they think they'd be happy. They're missing what would really make them happy, the beauty of this life experience. They don't even know what thriving is because the environment in which they grew up has suppressed their consciousness, and nobody taught them how to get out of the jail, how to get out of the black hole. There's a little cave down here because up here, I believe this was actually some kind of military installation. We're in Hawaii right now. Was it to protect against different countries? I'm not clear on that. Maybe Japanese related to Pearl Harbor. I don't know. But that little cave down there, maybe we'll get a little video of it. You can see that's what you're in, and you're missing what's out here. But when the wind's blowing, a little rain, it can be tempted to go hide in that little cave. What if we had hid in that little cave down there instead of shooting out here? What's the difference there? And that's what I want from you. I want you to emerge from your cave. Say it with me. Emerge from the cave. Okay. If you're on a bus, just do it with me. Emerge! Right? Shawshank Redemption, when the main character gets out, he raises hands into the rain, right? He's free. And that's what I want for you. I want you to be free. I want you to shift that energy. Become aware of when it's all about the little me and start giving. Shift that energy no matter how hard it is that you need like a little kid, but you're not a little kid. And you gotta handle your own needs and put it onto others. Just try feeling into others, asking what they need, what they feel. Give emotions. Try on that day when you're tired in the Uber, say, you know what? I'm gonna make the Uber driver laugh. Even though it's depleting you even more, your scarce energy is going down even more. And notice how as it goes down and goes down, no, you're gonna shift the direction, because if you're being sourced from the physical world too much, then you need it. But if you can shift where your energy is coming from presence, from giving, suddenly you shift into abundance and you light up and you tap into an energy that you didn't know you had. You became present to the moment and you became truly grounded in the gift that you have given to you in this life called abundance. That to me is the difference between scarcity and abundance. Both are real to you in whichever way you're experiencing them. If you believe in scarcity, you're gonna live a scarce reality and you're gonna get more and more evidence of that. But when you believe in abundance and you make that difficult shift, I know it's hard. I struggle with it. My camera team struggles with it. Everybody struggles with it. We all do. But we all have to push through it. And when you do, you will tap into something so beautiful that it will change your inner experience, but also that inner change will manifest into the outside world. Most people think that you have to have it before you can be it. In this case, as a simple experiment, try being it and see if suddenly you will have it. That is the lesson I want to leave you with. It's all about the Uber driver, coping versus thriving. Thank you so much for listening through this crazy wild wind, the energy here, the craziness of it, representing the craziness of your life. I'll be back with so much more to come. And I appreciate you being a part of this process. I'll see you soon. Peace.